Hello, and welcome to Plan with Me. I am so excited that you are here. I usually do these like alone, so I'm really excited that you are joining me. So, if you want to see exactly how I stay motivated, how I stay focused, how I plan out my October, just really how I stay on track with my goals. How do I pick my goals for like a new month? Like this could be any month, not just October. Then you are in the right place and just keep on watching. So I am so grateful and excited that you are here. This is Plan With Me, like I said. So you are in the right place if you're ready to plan the month of October today. That's going to be our focus. And we're just going to go through basically like what you need, what I focus on in the month. How do I stay motivated? That's like a big question that I get a lot is like, how do I stay motivated when it feels like sometimes at the start of the month, the end of the month feels so far away? I mean, same thing with end of year goals and all that stuff. How do I continue to stay motivated in the month of October? We're going to talk about how do I do goal setting? So like, how do I actually figure out what do I want to focus on for the month? And then we're going to focus on basically, along with like, how do you stay motivated is how do you set yourself up for success? Especially because I don't know if a lot of people know this about me, is I have extreme ADHD. So I was diagnosed very young as a kid. I have a lot of energy, a lot of energy. And so the biggest thing is it's like during the times that I really don't want to do anything, or when I get distracted, how do I stay focused and how do I stay on track with everything when there's a million distractions, like AKA TikTok, which I limit myself to being on. Otherwise I will be on that all day. How do I set myself up for success in business, in personal, all that stuff? So if that is what you want to see, then you are in the right place. And so let's do this. Let's keep watching. And like I said, I'm excited and grateful. So what you guys will need, if you are doing this with me, okay, is any sort of notebook or journal. Okay. So I love these notebooks. I get them off Amazon. These are the famous photographer, Gray Malin. I love these notebooks. I can tag them or send them to you guys if you want an easy way to grab them. I always like a small notebook that I can kind of carry around. A lot of times people ask me, they're like, one of the things is being a business owner, entrepreneur, or anything like that. Sometimes people are like, I have all these ideas that flow through my head, or sometimes I can't sleep at night because I have all these ideas kind of flying by. The best thing for me is anytime that you have an idea about anything, write it down. So have like carry around a journal and just write it down. If you're like, oh, something's coming up. Oh, I should write this down. I should mark this. Okay. So that's what helps me really stay focused, is saying, okay, how can I stay motivated and stay on track with everything, is to when that idea happens, I just write it down in this journal. Okay. And then I have a little bit of a bigger journal. Yes, I'm kind of a journal freak here. This is the one that I just leave at home because this is like actually pretty heavy. Again, I just get this off Amazon. And this is where I do my 3-page brain dump. So if you know, one of the things that I do in my morning routine, and if you want to see that, I can do like a full video of like how I have like a full morning routine and what I do in my mornings. Just let me know if you guys want to see that and I will record that for you. But this is where I just do my 3-page brain dump, where I just literally will write anything in the morning that comes to mind. So before I start my day, I'll just kind of write everything. This is a good place. Like if you're having a trouble with like any sort of focus on goals or anything that you're looking to accomplish, like this is kind of where I just free write a little bit. And then in my smaller journal, this is where I get really specific and can break down my goals and all that stuff. So grab a journal, grab a piece of paper, doesn't matter, whatever feels right for you. It could just be like a plain notebook. Okay. So grab that, grab anything to write with. And I encourage you guys to write things down. And the reason being is because the best way to talk to your subconscious mind. So we live in a when you're doing things on a day-to-day basis, you're conscious. So you kind of, when you're going through the motions and everything, some of the things that you're doing are unconscious. Some of the things that you're doing are conscious. The best way to speak to your unconscious mind is through the act of writing. So I always encourage people, like if you're really trying to hit a new goal that you've never done before, or you're really trying to stay connected to something, writing it down is going to be your best bet, because that's the best way for you to connect with your unconscious mind. Okay. So get something to write with. Okay. So I have like all these fun pens. I like went to Michael's and picked up a bunch of cool pens that I like. So grab something to write with. Okay. I'm in a very pastel mode. So a lot of the stuff that I'm writing with is very pastel-y, pinks and purples and oranges and that sort of thing. Cause I'm like, why not make it fun? And then grab your computer. Obviously you're on it right now, potentially, or your phone. So whatever you keep your schedule. So it could be like your Google schedule, or wherever you keep, like wherever you can see your month or your week. So I would grab that. That's important. And then basically anything, if you guys need anything to drink, I am drinking a matcha latte right now that I made. It kind of looks gross right now. I probably need to stir this up a little bit, but grab something to drink, and it can be alcoholic. I know it is a Monday, but that doesn't matter. We can still have a little cocktail. Maybe, I mean, it is 11 or 2 o'clock, depending on what time zone you're in. But you can grab a fun drink. So, okay, perfect. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Exactly. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. I am never opposed to a little champagne to celebrate the start of a new month. And that is the best thing about doing this, is because this is a completely fresh new month for you. So this is completely something that if you didn't feel like the last month was where you wanted to be, the best thing is that this is a new month for you. This is an opportunity for you to start fresh, to start over, to relook at your goals, get reoriented to what it is that you want to focus on. The best part is you can really just hit the refresh button. And it's kind of like New Year's for your month. And so I like doing this because it doesn't feel like as big as a yearly goal. I really, really, really like breaking things down and having them be more on a micro level. Okay. And because most people they'll ask me, they're like, Ashley, I have a really hard time sticking to my goal. I have a really, really hard time sticking to what it is that I really want to focus on, whether it be personal, whether it be business, whether it be whatever it may be. Some people always will DM me or message me and say, that's kind of one of the questions I get, is like, how do you stay focused? How do you stay, intimate with the goals that you're trying to pick? And so the thing that I do the most is I make everything super simple. So super, super simple. Okay. So, and I also tune into what makes me feel good. So if something doesn't feel good to me, I don't do it. Okay. And if it's something that I need to do or I need to focus on, whether it be in business or in personal, then I find a way to do it, delegate it, or delete it. That's the biggest thing. Okay. So I make it really, really simple and I make it feel good. Okay. And you can play around with this. Okay. So play around like with what feels good. So if I'm sharing something with you, try it for a little bit. And if it doesn't work for you, then you can pivot. But so many times people will try it maybe for a couple of days and then give up. And they're like, this isn't working. And what's happening here? So I encourage you to do it a little bit longer than maybe a couple of days. Like give yourself maybe like 3 weeks or 4 weeks and see if it works for you and then pivot. So one of the things that I'll do to make it really simple is, so one of my goals for September was to drink more water. Okay. So I wanted to drink 32 ounces right when I woke up in the morning. I wanted to drink a whole thing of water right when I woke up. So I say, okay, how do I do this? And how do I stay on track with that goal? Okay. So I'm like, how can I make this super easy? So every night before I would go to sleep, I would fill up my water bottle. Okay. And I love the Hydro Flask. There's other water bottles out there, but I would fill up the Hydro Flask. And I basically would say, okay, I'm going to leave this by my bedside every single night. So the second that I wake up in the morning, I literally can just grab my water bottle and start drinking it right away. Okay. Second thing is, let's say I want to get in shape. Okay. Let's say health is really important to me. And let's just say I'm like, gosh, I just don't feel like I have the motivation to do it myself. And the best thing that I actually just read a quote that I wrote down the other day, that it said, if you don't have motivation, stick with discipline. So like if you're not finding that you have motivation, then try to do it with discipline. I read it somewhere. I can tag it later, but I love that because so many times people don't have the motivation. I never had the motivation to go to the gym. It was just not something that I enjoyed doing. So I'm like, what can make it feel easy and feel fun to go to the gym? So what I did and what I decided to do was, what do I like doing at the gym? So I love Pilates. So Pilates was something that I loved doing. So I started off going to classes. So I don't know if you guys have this in your city, but there's something called Class Pass, which allows you to go to lots and lots of different classes. Okay. And that way you can stay motivated because there's other people around you and you're going to a class. And then the next level for me, so I did that for a long time. The next level for me was hiring a trainer. And so when I hired a trainer, the two things that I wanted in a trainer that would make me feel motivated to go to the gym was, number one, they needed to be super hot. So my trainer is a very, very, very good looking man. And the second thing is that I wanted to feel like I was going to get up, because I didn't want to make a promise to someone and not be there. So I knew that once I set these meetings with him, that I was going to show up and I was going to go to the gym. Same things with Pilates. Now I have a Pilates instructor, but I built up to that. So I went to classes, I got a buddy. If you're working out from home, like you can sign up, like if you're on a Peloton, like they have all the group fitness side of things. So try to make it super easy on yourself. Another thing I did with like the gym or with staying motivated is just moving my body. So I remember in July, I was up north in northern Wisconsin, where I'm from. And I told myself, because I didn't have my trainer there, I said, only thing that I need to do every single day is move my body. That's it. If I just need to get up and I just need to put my tennis shoes on and I just need to move my body, even if that's 15 minutes. That's it. All I need to do is 15 minutes. So either I would walk the dog, I would just go to the gym for 15 minutes, like whatever. I was like, just put your shoes on, go to the gym. If all you want to do is 15 minutes, that's all you need to do. And then you're scotch free. So just make it super easy for yourself. And the goal here too, because we're going to get into goal setting in a little bit, is have fun with this. Okay. Life is supposed to be fun. We are here to have a good time. Okay. So if it doesn't feel good to you, just find little ways to pivot. If you don't like Pilates and it drives you crazy to go to Pilates, try bar. Or if you hate bar, try lifting. If you hate lifting, try running. Like do something, like get into something that feels good for you. Okay. I learned this morning in the gym that I've been running. I hate running. Like I'm the type of person, I'm like, if you see me running, you better start running too, because that means something's chasing me. I hate running. Okay. So I found my trainer's been helping me with getting used to running, and he's teaching me the proper way to run. And so when I was running today, I was like, oh, this actually is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, because he's teaching me the way of actually the physical, like mechanics of running with my body. He's like, once you get this down, it's just really easy for yourself because you're just kind of like going through the motion. And today was the first time that I was like, okay, running isn't the worst thing. I mean, I don't want saggy knees, saggy boobs, or saggy butt. So as long as running doesn't give me that, I'm good to go. So I'm like, I literally tell my trainer this. I'm like, those three things, nothing is sagging. So I'm like, as long as running doesn't do that, I'm good to go. Okay. So making it super easy on yourself is really important. So that's kind of like some of the things that I do to kind of set myself to be really successful. And the most important point of all of this thing is that you're showing up for yourself, that you continue to show up in the ways that every single month that you just do it a little bit every single day, closer and closer to your goals. But the point is that you are showing up for yourself and you're taking the inspired action when you need to. And then again, if you've been doing something after a couple of weeks, like they say 21 days it takes to like actually build a habit. If it's not working for you, look backwards and be like, how can I pivot this? you know? So for instance, I would do outreaches for the business. So I would be like, okay, I'm going to do outreaches, I'm going to reach out to people and that sort of thing. I hated doing it every single day. It was just never my thing to do it every single day. So I said, okay, how can I get the same outcome, but how can I do it where it's fun? So what I did was on Fridays, when I knew that Fridays was the best day to reach out to people because people are in a better mood, they're more happy. I said, okay, I'll block out 2 hours of my day. I'm going to put something really fun on the background. So whether it's music, I always listen to like I am statements, or like I'll always put on like lots of really pretty pictures of like basically vision board. Like I'll kind of play like a vision board in the background. I'll put on a fun TV show. I love Queer Eye. I'll put on a fun movie. I'll do something to kind of make it fun. I'll light my candles. I'll have a fun drink. Like I'll kind of make something of it. And then I'll say, okay, for 2 hours, for 2 hours, I'm going to do all my outreaches for my business that I need to do for my business. So I made it fun. So I was like, Fridays feel good. Everyone's in a good mood. It's a way to build my business forward. And I still got the same outcome. I still got the same thing. I was still doing as many outreaches as I can, but I was like, I did it in one day and I made it fun for myself. So again, if you're finding that you're like, hey, something's just not happening in my business, be open to pivoting if you need to still get the same outcome. The best question that I'll always ask people that I coach or that are in my groups or courses or anything is I'll say, okay, let's say that you go to the doctor and the doctor says you can no longer, based on your health, you can no longer work. You only can work 4 hours a week. That's it. Only 4 hours. If you work at 4 hours and literally 1 second over that 4 hours, you die. Spontaneous combust, you no longer exist. Okay. What would you do to keep the same level of what you're doing right now? What would you do with 4 hours a week? And then the same question would be, okay, let's say you had 4 hours a day. What would you do with those 4 hours on a daily basis to continue the same lifestyle that you have right now? The same, whether that's, again, in business, in personal, any of that stuff. How could you continue to do the best thing that you're doing right now with 4 hours a week and then 4 hours per day? And I loved that because then that really gets like, what are the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that's really getting in the way to actually move things forward and get the goals that you really want to accomplish moving forward? Okay. But like I said, the goal here is to stay in tune to what feels good for you. There's so many times that I'll coach people, whether one-on-one or in my groups, and they'll say to me, gosh, it's like, I'll pick this goal or I'll pick this New Year's resolution and I forget about it literally by February, or I get to the end of the month and I know we're close to this goal. And what happens is it's because you're not really connected to it. There's a disconnect. And remember how I talked about there's a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. So consciously, you could be thinking, I really want to hit this goal. This feels good for me, all this stuff. But unconsciously, if all of a sudden something kicks in like, well, you've said you wanted to hit this goal before, but you haven't hit it. So there's no way you're going to hit it. Or, well, you've said that you're going to hit this goal for the last 3 months. You haven't hit it. Like, this is just not going to happen for you. Or gosh, that means we're going to have to change something or stop eating things that we like or go to the gym. Your unconscious mind's going to be the one controlling 95% of the things that you think about versus 5% is your conscious mind. Okay. So that's getting really attuned with what's going on as you're setting your goals. So that's why I always start with feelings first. It's like, how would this feel for you when you set this goal, when you set, again, personally or you're in business? Okay. So stay in tune with what feels good for you. Okay. So let's talk about the tactical thing. So what do I do tactically to set up my month? Okay. So now here's the thing where, again, if you're doing this with me, I want you to pull out whatever calendar it is that you use to plan your month out with. Okay. So I use Outlook for everything, personal and professional. Okay. So Outlook is kind of the area where I use everything. And I have a second screen. So if you see me looking off, that's what I'm looking at. And so what I'll do right now is I'll basically go through, and the great part is, I'm going to pause for a second. We have a couple more days left of this month. The best thing is because we're in a minute, we're going to look backwards. If there are things that you're a little frustrated that you maybe said to yourself that you were going to hit in this month and haven't done it, you still have time to hit these goals. Okay. You still have days. And the reason why I wanted to record this a couple of days before the actual 1st of October is because I'm like, I want you guys to feel good going into October. I want you guys to be like, this is New Year's Eve. We're drinking champagne. Like, let's pop the bottles. We got another month that we're doing all of this. This is a fresh new thing that we can start completely over if we want to. We can change any goal that we want to, or reaffirm the goals that we really want to hit. Because in my experience, a lot of things that I've won don't happen till the 11th hour. So some of the goals that you're maybe trying to hit, we still have a couple more days that if you think of your month and actually like physical, like September, like 30 days in September. I know for some of the business owners like NM and that sort of thing, we have obviously a short, it doesn't really work like that. But if we're actually looking at like an actual month itself, if you're wanting to bring in a certain amount of money or do something, we still have days left for you to be able to do that. And you're still going to be successful if you do this in your business too. Again, even in your personal, if you have personal goals, we still have a couple more days left. So, okay. So now let's look at the calendar. Okay. And let's map out every single thing that you're going to do in October. What I mean by that is I want you to go through here and I want you to basically outline and put in the times the whole month for specific meetings that you're going to have for October. So again, if you're a business owner, you're going to go through that and you're going to put all the times that you're going to have meetings. So what I'll do in my calendar is I'll go through and I'll put in meeting. So my staff knows, or you'll know, when do you actually want to have client meetings throughout the month of October? Okay. That also going through here. Okay. I want you to pick out like, when are you having internal office meetings? So again, if you work for someone, like, do you have any internal office meetings that you need to put on your schedule? There's a lot of things that get put on my schedule sometimes that I want to make sure that I actually want to attend those meetings. So I'll actually go through and approve or decline these meetings if I don't want to go through them. Okay. So I'll basically go through here. So we want to go through and I want you to outline every single thing in October. Also, I want you to put in all the days that you have off too. So I know like next week, my mom and sister are coming because I'm in Miami right now. They're coming to Miami and I'm taking Thursday and Friday off next week. So I already know this now going into this, that Thursday and Friday are completely off. So I have that off now. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to write down meetings. I'm going to write down vacations. October is a busy month. I was like super excited to have a month that was like relaxing. It's the Halloween, which is one of my favorite holidays. Now I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to go up to like Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm like, when the heck do I have time to do all this? Okay, so write down all that. Write down if you're going to do Facebook Lives. Write down if you're going to do, like I write down and make sure all my one-on-one coaching's in here. I'm also like on the 11th of October starts my fourth quarter, where I'm live teaching for the next 8 weeks. So I have that in there. So I did all this out. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to do all the Zoom meetings. I'm going to put the time in here and do all the Zoom meetings because it's me every week for the next 8 weeks. So I want to make sure that plan that out. So go through here and write down everything for October. I go through here and I also do like, if you guys have partners or kids and like those sort of things, go through here and like, if My cleaning ladies are coming. Like I write that down. I send calendar invites to people. If like they know, I mean, literally I'm the friend that's like, if something's happening, I'm going to send you a calendar invite. And it's so funny because I'll do that even for dates too. I'm like, I'm going to send you a Zoom meeting. Here's the Zoom link. Here you go. I'm going to send it to you. So they come prepared. No, I'm just kidding. It's like an interview. So, and the reason why I like this too is because I have staff right now on the personal and the professional side. So I have a personal assistant and I have assistants on my like some of the businesses that I run. And so if I have calendars, I make sure that I send myself invites. So it goes onto all calendars. So everyone knows where I'm at all times. And I also pick the time. So I'll see clients. So I do private coaching on Mondays and Fridays. So I don't see any like actual wealth management clients on Mondays or Fridays. So I do it Tuesday, little bit on Wednesday, and then full day Thursday. So I'll go through here and I'll go through and say from 9 or 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time all the way to like 2 or 3, I'm done. And the reason that I did that was because anywhere that I wanted to travel, I wanted to make sure that I was on the right time zone. So if I got done at 3 o'clock or, like if I got done at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I knew that was 5 o'clock on the East Coast and then 4 o'clock in Wisconsin, where I'm from. And so I knew that no matter where I would travel, that I'd always be done at a decent hour so that I'm done for my day. So that's why I scheduled my meetings like that. And I'm like, okay, client meetings, I'm going to see from 9 to about 2 o'clock. I'm done at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, approximately. Some days I'll be done a little bit shorter, but I'm like, that's when I see clients and then I'm done for the day. Okay. If you know that you're really bad about putting in your outreaches for your business, go ahead and put them in there now. So schedule them out and know that you're going to do this no matter what. So you're like, I'm scheduling this. This is going to happen. It's in there. For me personally, I like doing it either the week or the day ahead of time because I know I'm going to do it if I put it in my schedule. And I also know that if it's in my schedule, I really want to stick to my schedule because that's the way that you'll keep little promises to yourself. So when I go in here and I put them in there, if I find myself moving it a lot, and that's what happened is I found myself moving the most important meetings, like working out and those sort of things. So now I'll look through my day the night before, and then I'll go in and I'll put that in. And I'm like, that's when I'm doing it. That's when it's blocked out. And then I'll prepare and be ready for that. So when I come into it, again, same thing with working out, I'll plan out like, what am I wearing the next day? What shoes am I wearing? And then I know that there's no thinking involved in that. Again, I keep my schedule. Anything that I do in my day-to-day life, I want to do it really, really simple. It's also another reason why for me getting in shape, one of the things is having my food. So having the food delivered so I don't have to think about these things. I want to keep it super simple in my schedule that I actually want to stay focused and keep my brain focused on the most important things for my day. Okay. So go through and map out how each of your day is going to look. And again, I'll just write in meeting, or if I have meetings there, I'll kind of review everything. So put everything in here: outreaches, days off, internal meetings, staff meetings. You can put in your daily goals. So one thing I love doing is like 10K a day. So my focus is every day, how can I bring in 10,000 into my life on certain days of the week? And so I'll like literally put a little reminder on the top of my Outlook. I'm like, okay, so 10K a day. And then the fun part is that every day it'll remind me, it'll give me a little way to keep in touch with my subconscious mind. Okay. Same thing with my like vision board planning or anything. I have my vision board on the background of my phone. I have my vision board on my computer. It's little ways that keeps my goals top of mind and to speak to my subconscious mind. So again, the whole point of this is to only put things in your schedule that is going to keep. Okay. Because the best way is if you're finding that you're not keeping the little promises to yourself, I can guarantee your mind's not going to trust you to keep the big things to yourself. So if you're going to put things in your schedule, stick to it. And another way to keep little promises to yourself is, let's say in the morning that you make your bed every single day. That's just something that you do. It's part of your morning routine. You're just going to do that. Right before you make your bed in the morning, say out loud, I'm going to make my bed, and then do it. Because that's little ways that you can build up to keeping the little promises that when you are like, okay, brain, we're ready to make the big promises now. Then when you make that, your brain's gonna be like, well, we got this, because we can trust ourselves to keep those little promises. Also, one thing, I'll give you a little thing that I coach my one-on-ones that I'll share with you here. If you find that something in your life is frustrating you, so let's say that people are saying that they're going to do something and don't follow through, or maybe people keep no-showing you or canceling me, and this is personal and professional. Let's say that that keeps happening and you're getting really frustrated with it. Okay. I want you to take a look inward and say, where have I been doing this in my life and in my business and in my anywhere? Where have I been doing this in my own life? So for a while, this was happening to me. I would be like, okay, people would say things to me and they would never follow up with what they would say that they would do. And I got so mad. And then I was like, you know what? Everything that we go through in life is a mirror. So something in my life is showing me that I'm not keeping promises to other people in my life. I have been doing that. I have not been sticking to my commitments to myself. So where do I need to clean things up? And I recognized that I was doing that with my staff. I would say something and I would totally forgot. So it was very innocent of me. It's not like I would say something and not do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not saying I'm going to do something unless I know I'm going to do it. I won't do that to someone. So I'm going to make sure that if I say something, I'm either going to give them a timeline that I actually can know how to do it, or I'm not going to say anything at all, or I'm going to delegate it to someone. If I know I'm not going to do it, I'll delegate it to someone else who I know will. Okay. So those are just little ways that if you're finding that you're getting frustrated at something, it's something in your own that you're not projecting to the world right now. And that's something that you might need to clean up a little bit. Okay. So again, I like looking at my schedule from a bird's eye view, because again, I like going through here and I like seeing, okay, I have friends in town this weekend. What am I needing to do? What does my whole schedule look like? So I view this at a bird's eye and I'm like, okay, is there anything else I need to put in here? A lot of people are coming to visit me this month. There's a lot of things in here. I also will plan out. So if you've been following my Instagram for a little while, you'll know that every 2 weeks I do something called a retreat. I went to a homeopathic doctor last year just to make sure I want to function as like an athlete. I want to treat my business and my life so that my body can consistently perform at the ability that I want it to perform at. So I went to a homeopathic doctor to make sure that everything was still functioning properly, that I wasn't stressing myself out too much, all that stuff. And one of the things that he shared with me is that every 2 weeks, he wants me to do a retreat. Okay. This does not have to be anything fancy. Okay. I started this out when I saw him last year. I started off this little, doing this every 2 weeks just in my own home. And then I expanded it as I felt like I built more money and that sort of thing. I started investing more in that direction. Okay. So every 2 weeks, the retreat consists of 4 things that I focus on. So the first thing is getting touched in some way. Okay. So I chuckled when I first heard him say that, because I basically was like, is this doctor basically saying that I need to like be intimate with someone, like go have sex with someone? And the doctor was like, no, you don't have to. That's not the only way that you can get touched. But if you have a partner, that could be a way that you get touched. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So the first way is to get touched. So the thing that he suggested was to go get a massage. Okay. So when I'm in LA, there's an amazing foot spa place. So again, wherever you guys live, I always look at foot spa places, like the little hole in the wall foot spa that are like $40 to $60 for like 2 hours that you can go and sit there. I love those places, and they'll just rub your feet and it's amazing. So the first thing that you'll do is get touched. Now I've obviously will have people either come to the house or I'll go and make it a whole day and that sort of thing at the spa. But I always like a good $40 to $60 at a great place, something I can just shut down. I'll sometimes read a book while I'm doing it. Sometimes I'll do emails, or sometimes I'll just turn my phone off. The second thing I do is do an emotional release. I'm a big journaler, so I love journaling things out. So this is a way to either write a letter to someone or to just get in touch with your emotions a little bit. So again, whatever that means for you. So have an emotional release. That could be like screaming really loud. It could be going to the gym and getting really angry, whatever it is, to kind of get all that emotion. We hold a lot of emotion in our body, get that out of our system in whatever means that, necessary that you think. The third thing is taking a picture of something small. So yep, cry. So the third thing is taking a picture of something small. So as we're all building in our lives and we're expanding, we're humans. Expanding is something that we need to do. Okay. And as we're doing that, it's appreciating the small things in life. So whether it's like when you're, the last thing is getting into nature. So I do that usually when I'm on a walk. So I'll just appreciate the things around me. I'll appreciate the small things, the animals, or, anything that's around me. I kind of just appreciate that moment in time and the small things that I have and whatnot around me. And then again, the last one is getting into nature. So going on walks, getting outside, having the sun on your face, obviously wear your sunscreen if you're going to do that, but just getting outside and getting into nature. It's also a big way to keep in touch with your feminine energy. Nature is a huge way to get reconnected to that side. If you are a business owner, because I am doing a lot of lives in different places, I know most of you guys are, is the biggest thing is that we're a lot in our masculine energy. We need things, we need to do things, we need to push things forward. Getting back into our feminine energy, especially as women, it's really important. One of the best ways is to connect with nature, and that touch will help you, that receiving energy. A lot of that stuff comes from it. For the last 11 years that I've been in business, 10, 11 years, I've always been in my masculine of pushing forward and making things happen. The most beautiful thing is now that I've kind of learned both energies, the feminine is more about receiving, allowing things to come to you, allowing your soulmate clients to come to you, allowing things to just happen in your world, which has been amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay. So that's a big thing. So I do that every 2 weeks. So plan that out. So if you're going to do something like that, you can do it with me. Tag me on Instagram if you do it. Share the journey with me, plan out what you're going to do. And again, this is nothing big. You can just do it in your own home. You can have your partner rub you down, whatever that is, right? You don't have to even spend money in that direction. If you have kids, make them do that. But every 2 weeks, will write down and really set that aside. Sometimes I'll do it on a Sunday. Again, you could do a bath. You could just something to just self-care with yourself. And that doesn't mean a full day. Again, I don't have kids. So it's something that I have, I can do this a whole day. This is something you guys can just do for a morning. You can hire someone to take care of the kids or have your partner take care of them and just give yourself that time. You could do it once a month. So you don't have to do it every 2 weeks, but just putting a little bit of self-care, put that in your schedule and prioritize it. Make sure that's something that you're going to do. Okay. One of the things being ADHD is if you have ADHD or you find that you will focus on something, and then if all of a sudden something distracts you, you kind of bounce around a lot. That's kind of my ADHD, is I get distracted really easily. As you're going through the month, the thing that has helped me the most with keeping on track is I create a master list. Okay. So I have a master list. Right here is my master list for September. Okay. Anything that I find that I need to do for the month, write it down on here, everything. So for instance, in September, my dad's birthday is in the beginning of October. I wrote down, I need a birthday gift for him. Okay. Once you're looking through everything. So if you want to do a retreat, let's just say you're like, okay, Ashley, I'm going to do it with you. Maybe one of the things is that you're like, I'm going to research a foot spa place, something I can just go to that's super simple and easy. Write that down on your master list. Okay. I had on here, I want to try out new cleaning ladies. So I wrote down, because your brain doesn't want to forget things. Okay. And I find if I have so much to do, I'm like, oh my God. And when you're stressed out, by the way, this really helps to write down like a stressed out list, like what you're stressed out with. But write down everything on your master list that you need to do for the month. Okay. Because the brilliant part is your brain will be able to let it go. So then you don't need to worry about it because it's going to be on the list. And the other brilliant part about this, so many times things on this list get done without me even having to do it. It's awesome. So for instance, the reason why I brought my dad's birthday gift, and if you were on the one that I did in September, you'll find this funny because I told you guys that about my dad's birthday gift. So I wrote that down. I knew I wanted to get him a birthday gift. And I was starting to get a little stressed because my dad's birthday is next Saturday. And I was like, gosh, I have a couple ideas, but I haven't done anything yet. No joke. This weekend, my sister texts me, who's like an amazing gift giver. She's like, I swear her love language must be gifts. But she texted my brother and I was like, because my mom texted us and say, hey, if you guys haven't gotten dad anything, we just went through the airport. And my dad's like a pack animal. He carries his iPad and his phone and his computer and like everything. You guys might want to get him something where it's all in one place. Hopefully he's not, I don't think he's very technology. He might not be watching this. And sorry, Dad, if you are, I don't think he watches. And sorry if you just heard me talk about sex, a little awkward. That's okay. So anyway, my parents like to make me feel really uncomfortable. So they probably would be laughing at that. But so the great part is my mom was literally like, here's the gift that you guys could get dad. So I was like, okay, that might be a good gift. So I should sit down and research it. No joke. My sister's like, hey guys, I found this from Away, which by the way, I have Away. It's amazing luggage. If you guys are looking for luggage, it's amazing. So this Away bag that you, me, and my brother, the three kids, what if we get this for him? And I'm like, done. So easy. It's something he wanted. It's something he needed. And I didn't have to do anything, literally nothing to do this. So I wrote it on my master list. I was stressed about it, but then all of a sudden everything worked out in the end for me. No joke. I was going to prepare questions. So I do like a group master series that I'm teaching on later today. And I wanted to prepare questions for the person that was coming on to the master series. Well, no joke. Now this is a little frustrating, but I was like, everything's working out. Last minute, they couldn't do it. They had to cancel. I'm so grateful that I didn't plan this out a month ahead of time of the questions that I was going to ask, because I had to completely redo my strategy today because I'm having my best friend and business partner come into it, and I rewrote all the questions. So sometimes, and if you've ever read the book Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden, I think that's a brilliant business book because for me, it allowed me to procrastinate, but then not do extra work throughout the month that I didn't have to do. So it's really awesome that I could just put this on my master list and things work itself out. So as you're going through this, if there's meetings that you need to confirm, meetings that you need to like figure out what you're doing in that meeting, write it on your master list. Keep a master list right next to you and write everything down as you're going through your month. Okay. Now, another thing that I'll do to keep me on track is every night or every morning, I'll look throughout my day and I'll write down the things that I need to do for that day. Okay. So I just bought these like notepads off Amazon. So I have 2 different colors. Again, I'm into a color scheme here, pastel. And then the pink one is everything I want to focus on for the day. So I'll write down all my focuses for the day, but then I'll only pick 3. That's it. I just need to pick 3. And if I accomplish all 3 of them for the day, I'll feel that's an accomplishment for my day. Don't pick 6, don't pick 10. What are 3 things that's going to move the needle forward to make you feel accomplished for the day? What would make you feel good to focus on and push yourself throughout that day? Okay. Because then you could take this and you could put on your master list and do it later or delegate it. Okay. Another brilliant thing is that if you find yourself writing things down on this master list over and over and over again, they're not the same every day. So things change. Now it could be, so like every day you could focus on it, but I will focus on in my morning routine after I do my brain dump. So then I kind of plan out my day. I'm going to say, okay, what would be the 3 things that if I'm at night, I'm sitting in bed, what would make me feel good that I accomplished for the day? And what would move the needle forward? Okay. So it's really important. What would make me feel good and feel accomplished by the end of my day? And then again, if you're maybe in the place where you're like, I really want to hire someone, whether a personal assistant or on the business side or a cleaning lady or something, if you've noticed that you've had things on your list over and over and over again, and it's just not getting done, that's the area that you can start to highlight and circle, that you're like, when I'm ready and when I feel good about hiring someone, here are the things that right away I'm going to push on their plate. So if you notice things are just not getting done and you're not focused on it, it's a really, really good opportunity for you to see maybe where you need some help on the personal side or the professional side of things. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about desires for the month. Okay. And if you have not watched my vision board video, so I did a vision board for the rest of this year. It's on YouTube. It's posted. You can find on my Instagram, like my link in the bio. Otherwise, I'm happy to once this goes live, or I can send it to you guys, I can link it down below. I go into a lot more of what I call life categories. So I really kind of do how I focus on my desires for the year. I won't go through it in here because I don't want that would be a really long video, and I'm trying to keep this as short as I can. But go there, watch that if you want to know how I plan really my full year vision and how I actually do my vision board that's on my background of everything in my house. But basically, okay, if you're having a hard time figuring out what it is that you want to focus on, it's a really good idea for you to just zone in on a couple of different areas that you focus on in your life. Now, if you're really, really struggling with what do I really want and what do I desire, this is where getting a notebook somewhere and free writing really helps me. Just allow yourself to free write and write down everything that you want to focus on. Okay. And a question to ask yourself is, okay, let's say that it is October 31st. Okay. October 31st is a Sunday. It's Halloween. Okay. What would feel good for you looking back on the month of October? What would feel good for you to accomplish? So again, it's Sunday, you're feeling good. Maybe you're going to do brunch that day. I love a good brunch, maybe a little bit of cocktails that day. Maybe you're going to a trick or treat with your family. What would make you feel really good to accomplish this night? What do you desire for the month of October? And just free write, just go. Anything that comes to your mind. And now if you're still having a problem, if you're like, Ash, I'm still having a problem, you could basically say, okay, God, angels, universe, help me to figure it out what it is that I desire. Help me to show me something that feels like I would desire. And my favorite word ever is you're going to have synchronicities happen throughout the next couple of days. So let's say you're in the back of your mind, let's say, subconsciously, you really want to eat better or get in shape or bring in more money or move or buy another house, right? All of a sudden you're going to see an open house sign for something. Or you're going to see a sign for a Pilates class. That's all of a sudden your first one's free. All of a sudden you're going to notice all these synchronicities. Pay attention to those. Those are important because that's going to maybe help guide you a little bit. Okay. The last thing that you could do is go back through your month, look back. Okay. And see where you want to improve based on any numbers that you set for yourself for the month of September. So go back and say, okay, did I set a goal and did I not hit it? So do I need to revamp some of my goals? Do I need to look at that? But I do encourage you to free write for a couple minutes and to focus on what would feel good, kind of figure out and again, this is a good opportunity that if you say something or write it down and your brain's you can't have that. Ashley mentioning having something cook your meals. Well, Ashley can do it, but I can't do it. Recognize those stories. Recognize that those are just your limiting beliefs coming up. And again, I go through that in all of my course. Again, I'm not going to go through all of that now, but if you want to do that, I go through so much of that. And I'm going to go through that in my 4th quarter live training. I'm going to teach you guys how to go through that, which starts October 11th. But recognize those stories that come up. Okay. Because that's just your brain telling you that you can't do something. Those are lies from the devil. Okay. That's a complete lie. Do not believe them, but just recognize them. Be the gentle observer of them. Okay. Our brain loves to tell us what's realistic and unrealistic. Our brain loves to kick that in. Okay. So we are here to create an extraordinary life. We do not want boring lives. Okay. So whatever you feel is extraordinary to you, write it down. Okay. I encourage you just to spend some time having so much fun with what this is. And this is anything. Don't hold yourself back for the things that you desire. If it's buying something, if it's traveling, if it's doing, and again, you could look at your month as we just outlined, like, is there something that you're really excited about? Like, hey, there's a vacation that I'm going on, or I do want to do this retreat. Maybe that's a goal I can set for myself. And then I go get myself a 2-hour massage, whatever it may be. You can look at your month and be like, what would I be excited about? Okay. Because we are here for a short period of time. I want you all to live the best life, like every single day, to be like, I'm feeling so good and in line with what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, and everything else I'm not even going to worry about or focus on, because I'm either delegating it or it's going to get done. The universe and God, angels, is going to help me figure it out, but it's going to happen and it's always working out for me. Okay. So again, free right here. So big thing for me, I'm like, okay, it's the end of the month. What feels good? What, all that stuff. I just kind of go based on a feeling. And then I usually can finish it off when I look back at my month. Okay. So if you have something that maybe stood out for you, make sure just to write it down, but free write a little bit about like what would feel good on Halloween. You're looking back and you're like, man, I'm just really excited. Like, we're dressed in fun costumes. I feel really good about myself. I feel free. I brought an X amount of, money into my life. There's this new school that I want to put my kids into, or you know what? I now decided that I'm just going to shop at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. Like, I bought a little bit more fresh fruit. I planned out some of my meals, maybe not all my meals, but I planned out some of them. Like, what would feel good for you at the end of the month to do that? I called people that made me feel nervous. I asked someone out on a date. I mean, whatever it is, right? Like, what would and write it in the present tense. So write it as if it's already happened to you. Very important. Okay. Next thing, we have about 2 more things to go through, two things. Okay. And again, anyone has to pop out. This is going to be recorded. You'll be able to see this later. So do not even worry if you have to jump off. Okay. So after you free write, again, circle things that feel good, pay attention to what doesn't feel good, what feels good, pay attention when your brain kind of kicks on a little bit, that it's always speaking to you. So just kind of be the gentle observer, allow yourself to just hear kind of what's going on. The best time that you can speak to your subconscious mind is right as you wake up and right before you go to sleep. So again, if you're still like, Ashley, I'm still having a hard time doing this, try to do it before you go to sleep or right when you wake up, because that way you'll just be able to be in dream world. Or honestly, just look at your Pinterest board. What have you been pinning? What have you been looking at? If you scroll through Instagram, what lights you up? What, what feels good for you? Pay attention to those things in your everyday life as you're going through as you're doing things, like what feels good, what doesn't feel good, things like that. Okay. Now we're going to look back. So now I want you to calculate everything that you want to do. Basically, I want us to look back through our month. Okay. So right off the bat, I asked myself, okay, so I'm going to do this with you, is let's say for October, how did September feel for you off the bat? So on a scale of 1 to 5, try not to pick a 3. It's okay if you pick a 3 because you're like, meh, it was just kind of like, okay. But how would you rate your September month? So let's do a look back. So this is September. Okay. And so rate yourself on a 1 to 5. So just off the top of your head, how does September feel for you? I'm going to say 4.5. I actually like September. It's really fun. Okay. Now what I do, okay, is I ask myself, okay, where in September could I use a little bit of work? So if I look back, where could I use a little bit of work in September? And again, you could do this off the top of your head if you feel, or calculate So again, so one of my goals always every single month is how much do I bring into my business? Like how much do I bring into my life? So this is the time that you could either calculate or just go based off your feeling. So I usually start with a feeling, just to say like, where could I have, so what could use some work? Or I ask myself like, what could I have done differently this month? So if you were to think about what could you have done differently? So just write down a couple of things. What could you have done differently? So mine's going to be like, I should have gone to bed like a couple days earlier. I like on Friday nights, I tend to stay up. I like don't do anything but stay up till like midnight. I'm like, and then I have 7:30 Pilates the next day. I'm like, this is not good. So again, just kind of free write. I kind of write down a couple of things that like are top of mind. You can also say like, be easier on myself. Again, if you're on a journey of like getting into shape or anything is like one of the things that you're working on, maybe the thing is just like giving yourself extra love. Like when you get out of the shower, like tell yourself how much you love yourself and what body parts you do love, or maybe, like we focus on so many of the negative stuff. Like, what do you love about yourself? Maybe there was an area where you snapped. Maybe that there was like a time where you're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't patient. So maybe like being a little bit more patient. So what could I have done differently? What could I have done a little bit differently? Okay. Okay. So what went really well for the month? So what went really well? So just off the top of your head, what went really well for you? So write down a couple of things. Okay, good. And then what are you grateful for? What's really great? What are you grateful for right now? That's going on that happened in this month? What did you do? Like I said, what went really well? What are you grateful for? It could be another thing if you're having maybe you're having a hard time with what went really well. What are you grateful that happened for in October? Did you spend more time with family, or did you hire someone? Were you able to take your kids somewhere? Like, did you go on a date? Like whatever it may be, like, what are you grateful for? And then goal wise, like, what are your wins? Like, did you hit your goals that you set for yourself? And I really encourage you to get deep here and get really personal about the goals that you set for last month. So if you didn't hit them, is really paying attention to, are these goals that you really, really, truly wanted to hit? Was this really on your heart of like, this is going to happen. This is going to I'm going to hit this goal, period. Or did you set this goal because someone else told you set this goal? Did you set this goal because you think that was the goal that you wanted to hit? So get personal with yourself. And are they really important to you? Like, are these goals like really something that's important to you? And then know your numbers. So I'm not a huge numbers person. I really only just see where I'm at. I only try to look at them once a month, just to kind of keep track. But again, like if you are trying to get in shape, like what does that look like? What can you actually track? For me, getting in shape, I don't care about weight. That's not something I ever focus on. So for me specifically, it's about like touching my toes or like being more flexible. Like those are actual things I can measure that has nothing to do with my weight. Drinking water is something, nothing to do, but I know it makes me feel better. I know it makes me not eat as much, like those sort of things. How much, money, how much money did you bring in for this month? Is that something that feels good for you? Track that. Where did everything come from? And so like I go into more about how I feel, where was the cash flow that came in, that sort of thing. Like, how did that make me feel? That sort of thing. And so what this does is, if there's anything that I want to focus on moving forward, this helps me adjust. If there's something I didn't like, okay, if I knew that I didn't want, if I keep setting this goal and I didn't hit it, then this is where I learn to pivot once I look back. Okay. Now, okay, again, the categories that I focus on for my months, just based on my vision board video, is I focus on health. I focus on relationships, specifically to like dating and going on dates with guys. And the last thing is my business and financial. So those are the only 3 areas that I focus on. Okay. And so now for you, where are the 3 areas of your life that you want to focus on for the month of October? Okay. So like, again, thinking that we looked back, you've done your, you've sat down and you've done your desires for the month. You've kind of like wrote everything down. Pick 3 things that you're going to focus on for the month, just 3. Because when I looked back on one of my last months, I picked 5 things to focus on. Way too much. Like it got lost. I didn't focus on it as much as I wanted to. It just wasn't something I really wanted to do. 5 things was just too many for me. So 3 things that you want to focus on for this month. Okay. So what are 3 things that you're like, this would make me really, really excited to focus on for this month? So again, for me, okay, so I always focus on financial. And again, if you watch the vision board video, I go through of how I pick this. So financial, relationships, and then health. Okay. Now, again, here, what under each of these categories, if you know what it is that you desire, okay. So for instance, let's say health is the easiest one. That's I keep talking about it. So let's say health is feeling better. Let's say that's like what one of your goals is feeling better. Okay. Write down all the ways that you could feel better about yourself. Okay. So when I was working on my health, that was going to the gym. That was eating better. That was drinking more water. So I wrote down every single goal that I wanted to accomplish under my health. Okay. And then I picked one goal to focus on, just one. What I would focus on is, so I'd write down everything that I would want to accomplish for that goal. So again, if getting in shape or getting healthy or whatever that looks like, what does that mean to you? So write all of that down. Okay. Maybe relationships, like a lot of things I did was like, go on a certain amount of dates with someone, go on the dating apps for 5 minutes a day, whatever it may be, right? What are all the things that you could do with relationships? Maybe for you, it's spending more time with my kids or going on date night. Like, what is all the things that you want to do? Financial, is it bringing, get specific here. So this is the area that I really, really, really want you to get specific in all of these 3 areas, and then pick one. Now, the greatest part is with the health, okay, I picked drinking water because I knew it would trickle into all of the other goals. I knew that if I picked drinking water in the morning, it would make me feel more awake right when I woke up. It would make me so I didn't eat as much if I drank throughout, right before I ate meals. I knew if I drank more water, I would feel better. It would flush out my system a little bit more, things like that. So that was really important, was drinking water every single morning. Also not a morning person, so getting up in the morning sometimes is a struggle. And so drinking water has helped wake me up a little bit. Okay. Financial, is it like seeing a certain, a certain type of client? Is it a certain amount of income that you're going to bring in? Is it gross? Is it net? Get specific here, because this is where you're going to track. So for next month, you can figure out exactly what it is that you're going to focus on. So get specific here in what you're going to do. Okay. The last piece that I'm going to give you is, now that you have your 3 goals, okay, now you have your 3 areas of where you're going to pick. Now, hopefully you have your 3 things that you've picked. So sometimes I'll free write, and then I'll just go through my journal and I'll circle it. Okay. That's why I have 2 journals, because one of the journals is to free write. The other one is to track my goals. Okay. The last piece, and the most important, break it down. Break down your goals. Okay. So again, what I do for the month is, one of my goals for health. So when I was getting healthy, was going to the gym 3 times a week. That was one of my goals that I wanted to focus on. So when I sat down and I did when I went through my schedule, I already know, when am I going to the gym every single day? So again, this is here. You can go back and make sure everything is outlined of when things are happening for you during that month. But that was my goal, was 3 times. I just want to go 3 times a week. So how can I make this easy for myself, and how can I break this down to still accomplishing my end result? So for instance, touching my toes is one of my big goals for the year. Yes, I cannot touch my toes. I'm working on my flexibility. So now it's like incorporating like one yoga class, one yoga class a week. Okay. That will help me with my flexibility. That will help me feel good. Like, how can I track where I'm going? Those sort of things. Last month was bringing in a certain amount of income, a certain amount of revenue. Okay. So how can I break that down on a weekly or month? Like, sometimes the month is too much. So break it down on a week. Okay. Maybe a week is still too much. Break it down on a day. How can you break it down where you're like, oh, I got this. I know I can do this. I know I can bring this into my business or into my life or do this on a day-to-day basis. That's easy for me. Okay. And then maybe personal is like, maybe it's like, hey, I'm going to go on a date night. Well, when are you going to go onto that date? What does that look like? So break it down to make it super easy on yourself. Okay. To achieve these goals. Okay. Because a lot of times, again, those big, big, big numbers. And that's why I love the 12-week year. It's one of my favorite business books, is because it really helps take an annual number and break it down. And that's the biggest thing is what I'm doing in my fourth quarter. So I'm teaching a live fourth quarter training with everyone. I'm starting it on the 11th of October. So if you want more information, DM me, reach out to me, put your email address down below. I'll send you all the information, but I'm going to live teach what we're going to like this, but diving into this way deeper and setting yourself up for success for the fourth quarter. Now that we're going to fourth quarter, how can we take these big goals? Because what I find so many times happen in fourth quarter is people burn themselves out because they're like, it's fourth quarter. We got to go. We got to run. We got to like grind. And one of my one-on-one clients is feeling that way right now. And I'm forcing her to be like, no, calm, collective, because what happens is in January, you're going to come and all of a sudden we're not going to have a great January or something's like, I'm not going to allow yourself to burn out in fourth quarter. So break this down. So how can you do this in bite-sized pieces? And what's the easiest way that you can, can you make this easy on yourself to accomplish these goals? What's the easiest thing? Do you want to share them with someone? Do you want to have a tracker at home? Do you want to put it in your schedule? How can you make these things super easy for you to break this down and to feel really good about this? So just to recap, because we went through a lot. So number one is put everything into your schedule. Okay. So everything. So go back through your schedule, put down every sort of client meeting, internal meetings, staff meetings, days off, vacations. If you want to do Facebook Lives or Instagram Lives, or if you want to do your posting, like let's say you're posting on any of your social medias. If you have cleaning ladies that come, when are they coming? Share that with your partner or with anyone that needs to know that. Do you have daily goals? What's the daily goal focus going to be? I mean, everything, outreaches, the gym, go through your schedule and do everything. And when I post on social media, I batch all my content for the month. So I don't even have to think about it. So that makes it easy on myself. Second thing is free write your desires. So what is the desire for the month? And the best thing to do is it's the 31st of October. It's Sunday. What would make you most excited to accomplish for the month, and get in tune with what you actually want to do for this month. Okay. What would feel good for you? What would feel the most aligned with your goals? Okay. The third thing is look back. So how would you rate your month? How'd you feel about last month? Go deep, like actually go through the numbers, do your cash flow, go in to see what came in, what came out. Like I love going through all of that. That's the biggest thing, is kind of sitting down and going through your cash flow side of things. Where is your number at? Again, are you moving closer to your goal? Are you moving away through your goal? Okay. And then the last one is so once you pick out like what it is that you desire, so you'll free write, and then you'll figure out 3 goals that you want to focus on for the month, just 3, no more than 3. How can you break down each of those goals on a daily or weekly basis for you to become successful? So on the 31st, you've made it really, 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 really easy on yourself. Okay. And that's it. That is how I plan, my months. And like the best thing is the reason that I did this is because a month is a really long time. Like we have a lot of days left in the month, which is amazing. Like it gives you a lot of times to be able to pivot and to really just come in with a fresh new look on everything. I heard a quote one time that, the best thing that you could do is plan a little bit. Like I'm not a huge, like I don't want to plan everything down to the day because I do want to take inspired action and what feels good for me. But the best thing is that 1 hour of planning helps you with 7 to 8 hours on the back end. So as long as you kind of have things mapped out and kind of written down and everything's clear and in line, it's going to make you feel really good about going into the month. The best and most important thing for me is I always protect my time. I will invest in things that protect my time. That is the most important thing to me, is protecting that. And so planning just a little bit ahead of time really, really helps me with planning that out. Another thing that helps with that is I will not go to any meetings that are on my calendar without a clear agenda. So once I started doing that, there's a clear agenda for each and every meeting that I have on my schedule. I will not have a meeting on my schedule unless there's a clear agenda and I know why that meeting is happening. Okay. But this is what I do. I mean, this is the planning process that's really helped me with my ADHD. It's really helped me feel like I've mastered this. Like there's so many different things that I've done. There's so many different pivots that I've done. But this has really felt good for me. I feel really good about it. It allows me to really stay focused with the 3 different areas. And again, that's like where I write all this down, like in my journal, so I can stay focused on where it is. I like to track everything coming in. So that's why, like I said, I have those 2 journals, and just really, this is really, really what's worked for me and kept me focused and really kept me motivated. And I think if people ask me how I stay motivated, is I really stay in an energy and a focus of what things that make me feel good. And everything that I just went through for you, I don't pick goals anymore that don't make me feel good. It makes me really push things forward and accomplish things. And yeah, it's amazing. So I know that we went a little bit over, but I do want to open this up for a couple minutes for any questions. So any questions that you guys have or anything on your mind. So I know someone asked, how do you get out of your comfort zone, but still stay doing the things that make you feel good? Ooh, that is a great, great question. Okay. So how do I get out of my comfort zone, but stay things that make me feel good? So when I know what the end result is going to be, when I know that this will make me feel good, I try to set up little things that make me feel a little bit nervous. So if you feel really, really not in line with it, like let's say this month you're like, I'm gonna bring $100,000 in, or I'm gonna bring $5,000 in when you've only brought 1,500, right? Like the best thing that I would say is, what can you do a little bit to still move in that direction, but not make you feel like you're gonna go completely out of comfort zone, that you won't actually do it? Like what's one step that you can take towards that you still feel like you're pushing yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, but not so far out of it that you're going to be like, oh my God, I'll shut down and I won't be able to do it. That's how I continue to do it. Like for instance, yesterday, I got a whole new wardrobe. This is a new shirt that I just got yesterday, and new shorts and everything. I wanted to upgrade my wardrobe, and I hired a stylist. So it's the first time. It's been on my vision board for 2 years now. And I hired a stylist yesterday, and they quoted what it was going to be for me to be with them. And had so many limiting beliefs come up from that. I was like, who am I to spend this money on clothes? Is this frivolous? Like all this stuff, right? And I took a couple breaths, completely out of my comfort zone. But I was like, okay, how can I move a little bit forward and still feel? So what I did is I set boundaries for myself. So I said, this is the amount. So I told my stylist, I was like, this is the amount that I feel comfortable spending. This is what would feel good for me. How is this a good budget? Is this something that we can do right now? Or should I wait a little bit longer to be able to do that? And it was perfect. I stayed within my comfort zone. I still did something that made me feel uncomfortable because I was spending an amount of money that I've never spent on clothes before. And so I was like, that made me feel like I was out of my comfort zone, but I still took the inspired action and still took step number 1, which was clearly stating my boundaries. And then I still went. So how can you do something that gets you a little bit closer to the goal and makes you not push yourself so far out of your comfort zone that you won't do it, but just enough that's still going to get you in that direction. Maybe it's hiring a trainer for one time a week. Maybe you're like, okay, that makes me nervous to go to the gym. God, can I really hire someone? Is this really the right time? Maybe you just do it like once a week. That's what I would say, is to get out of the comfort zone, but makes it feel good, because you stay connected to your end result, and then know that these inspired actions will help you get there. And honestly, taking inspired action is going to be the great part, because it'll prove to your brain that you're like, okay, this like nothing happened to me. I'm like totally fine. Everything's good, stuff like that. So that's what I would do. Okay. So what if you have someone in your life that has a limiting belief that drag you down, but cannot get them out of your life because of the position they hold in your life, for example, in a partner? Great question. So I get this a lot, actually. So I would say a couple of things. Number one, meet them where they're at. If you know that they're really, really, really not going to budge, or they're not open to hearing anything about what you have to say, meet them where they're at and just allow themselves, as long as they're allowing you to live or do the things that you want to do, like just allow them to be where they're at, and prove and show them through your actions. So like a lot of times, if you want to manifest more money, or you want to like invest in a certain way or stuff like that, what I always tell people is just continue to like take the inspired actions, and all of a sudden you're going to get all this excitement, and everything's going to start going in the right direction. And all of a sudden your partner is going to be like, wait a second, what are you doing differently now? And then you can go ahead and say, are you open and willing to learn about this stuff? Another thing that you could do is have a conversation and say, listen, I'm really excited about this. I want to talk to you about something. Are you able to, and it depends on what you want. Do you want them to believe exactly what it is that you believe in? Do you want them to just support you? Do you want them to change things? Like what, I think it's getting clear about what it is that you want from them, because let's say you just want them to support you. It's going to them and saying, hey, I really want to talk to you about something that makes me really excited, and I'm working through some things. Are you able to have this conversation with me right now? So I always ask people if they're willing and ready to have this conversation, because I want someone to be able to hold space for me if I need to talk to them about something. And if they say yes, then go into what it is that you're looking for. But I would focus on yourself and your own growth, and not try to change them, but showing them what it is that you're working on through like you taking the inspired action and your world starting to change. And then people are going to be like, wait a second, what are you doing differently? You seem happier. You seem more light. You seem like, what are you doing? And then they'll be a little bit more open. And the blessing part, the last thing I'll say is, what a blessing to you that you get the opportunity to show yourself where you could still want to grow. So whenever something happens to us, or we have a reaction to something, don't think of it as something like good or bad, because that doesn't really exist, but as something as like, wow, okay, this is an area that I'm going to work on myself, that I want to expand on, that I want to grow in. I think that's like, what a beautiful thing that you're like, hey, I'm ready to go to this next level. I'm showing through my partner that I don't want to believe this anymore. It can show my growth a little bit, and I can be the trailblazer and blaze my way through. And then once I'm there, I can help teach them and maybe make it a little bit easier on them, instead of something, if you start saying universe and they're not used to that, or they're not used to like all these you manifesting, like, then you can all of a sudden start to slowly bring them into your world. But I get asked that a lot because, you want your partner to be supportive of you. And I would say, if you're finding that they maybe aren't as supportive of what you're looking for, maybe find someone in your friend group, or someone that you could actually have actually talk to them about stuff like that. I'm lucky because my best friend and business partner, we talk about this stuff all the time. And I'm really grateful that I get the opportunity to talk to him about these kind of things. But awesome question. This will be live. You guys will be able to rewatch this and have this. And I appreciate you guys. You're the best. Thank you for showing up and staying with me, and have an amazing day. And again, today, what are 3 things that you will focus on, to help get the needle forward? Right, Cash? You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Cashew says to have a great day too. Right? All right, guys. Have a great day, okay? Bye.